Hey everybody, my name is Adam, and if you've seen some of my videos or been to my channel in the past, welcome back and thank you for watching. Today, I just wanted to do a really quick video on drum programming, and it's not really so much of just programming like a kick, a snare, a hi-hat. I'm not going to do any of that. What I want to do is pull up a plugin and show you a quick way in order to build something, a track, where you don't need a live drummer, where you can just quickly build your track via a plugin. Let's just kind of jump right in. For this, I'm going to start with an instrument track. So I'm going to go to stereo and I'm going to create a new instrument track. It's going to go to text. And there we go. All right, so we've created an instrument track here, and I'll usually switch this over to notes, and then I'll make it big because I want to see a lot of the piano roll here, because when you're doing drums, it tends to be all over the piano roll. There are two plugins that I'm going to show you. One is the Slate drum program, and the other one is the Kontakt plugin. So let's pull up Slate's plugin. I'm going to go to Instrument, and this will come up. The Slate plugin is actually pretty cool, and he has a lot of really great sounds in just the base program, and you can buy some additional expansion packs from other producers and engineers that a lot are really good. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Construct Kit. And this is pretty easy. So I have a Blackbird expansion pack in here. I'm just going to click on the first one just to put it in here. So you can see they're all loading up here. Okay. And there's our drums. You can click on them and hello. Yeah, so you can click on them, check them out. No splash. And you can kind of say, okay, I can work with this drum set. If not, you can always change them, or you can just work. I mean, you can always change the drum sound later if you want to. So I'm just going to pull this one up. Sounds great. So you go into grooves, and then you can go in here and say, okay, let me find something that is what I'm in the area of what I might be looking for. So there's not quite that many inside this Slate thing, and I might be missing a few, to be honest with you, because I always thought there was more, but I don't use this that often. So let's say I go to verse. I'm like, okay, simple little pattern. Check out the chorus. Okay. Not the same thing, but adds a ride. You can kind of go through these and listen to them. Let's check out alternative. All right. Cool. So a little more tasty. So you get the idea. You're like, okay, that's cool. I can start building my track. And I mean, this is fairly generic stuff, but it can give you a quick working track to, let's say you're a guitar player or a keyboard player. It gives you a quick drum track to play to in order to build your song. Let's just say you're going to be working at 120 BPM, which is the default for Pro Tools. And you're like, oh, I really like this first one. Let's just do autoplay off for now. All right, so let's say I want to just start with building a verse. I'm going to just click and drag this verse over onto, let's just say, bar 5 here. And voila, we have our drums that we just heard put on MIDI. And it automatically conforms to whatever BPM your session's set at. In this case, it was 120, but had it been anything else, you would have heard that part being played at the BPM that the session is set to. So now I can just play it from here. And that's great. I can then say, well, I need 8 bars. This is a 4-bar part. I need 8 for my verse. So then now I've got my verse, and I can just hit a marker here and call that verse 1. And by the way, I should label this instrument track. We'll just call this drums 1. So now I have 8 bars that I can use for my verse. All right, let's pull up the Slate thing again. Now, I believe we were in alternative. Now let's go to fill. So we can do fill here if we want. This next part is going to be our chorus. So I'll just go chorus 1. And let's say we want a drum fill going into the chorus. So let's listen to these fills. Okay, so all right. Well, that one's a little less intrusive for me, so I'm gonna pull up that. I'm gonna delete this last bar here, and then let's just take this fill and we'll drag it over. There we go. So now if we play this, let's say we want to move on, we can grab a chorus part, and I don't think we need to listen to these. I'm just going to grab them just for the sake of showing. Oops. Sorry, this is my screen lags when I'm running QuickTime. So there we go. So now we're going to be able to transition right into our chorus. And that was a 4-bar part. Let's say we want to do our standard 8 bars. All right, so there we just built a chorus and a verse with even a fill. And then from there you can continue doing it. So that's a fairly cool thing of quickly building a track with drums. Another really great thing here is that let's say you want to actually track the drums, because let's say you're going to use these in your mix. Well, you can just use the mixer here. If you're perfectly happy with everything, you want to just dial things in from there, that's fine. Or you can do, and there's a lot of different options in here as well. And these were tracked, like particularly these Blackbird ones were tracked really well. I really like the sound of these. So you can use these, you can use the mixer just in here if you wanted to, and you could track this as a 2-track mix if you wanted to, or you could track this each instrument individual. And the way to go about doing that is, say you want to track just the kick drum, solo just the kick, all the tracks for that, and then say commit up to this insert. I don't want to do anything on the original. Right, so there's our kick drum, and it's tracked. And you can go through each one of these and do that with, you know, the snare, the toms, the hat, the crashes, and everything else. Or if you just wanted to do a 2-track mix, you just keep them unsoloed, and you do the same thing where you commit up to this insert, and it will make a 2-track mix for you. And that's great because it frees up resources when you do start mixing and you have more tracks. The instrument plugins do end up chewing into a lot of your processing power and can start slowing you down a little bit, especially if you have an older computer like me. So that's Steven Slate's. Now, I'm going to show you the Kontakt one, which functions pretty much the exact same way. So I'm just going to delete all of this stuff because we really don't need it. Now I'm going to go to Kontakt 5. Here we go. So there's quite a few drum sets to choose from. I have I think this Abbey Road, where it's the 60s, 70s, 80s, and modern drummer. I am a fan of these 60s and 70s sounds. So I'm just going to pull up one of these in here. All right. What we want to talk about is the grooves, and this one actually does have a lot of different grooves. Now, if you like a groove from, say, the Steven Slate one, but you like these sounds, you can kind of interchange them a little bit, but you will probably end up having to change the notes that each one's on because it's not really a standard thing as whereas what's programmed on which note. I mean, most of the time you have kick drum on a C and a snare on a D, but you know, hats and crashes can sometimes be different from from software to software. In this groove browser here, you can see there are just some different flavors. So I double click on it, then I hit up here, you see this groove. Right, so there you go. Now the same thing applies to this program as well, but you're gonna, these little arrows right here, you're gonna grab that, you're gonna drag it over, you're gonna line it up to the grid and make sure, should have said this earlier, but make sure you do have it set to grid mode, which is over here at the right. And then you can also set your grid here as far as what you're looking at on the grid. I usually keep it at 16th notes. So you zoom in, you can see, get rid of this. You can see that it did track, in fact, the drum parts, and they are set up to the tempo that we have. Now the same thing applies. I can sit here and copy and paste this as much times as I want. I can adjust some of the velocities down here if I need to, and I can change some of the sounds as well. I can even do 2 tracks where I have maybe the Kontakt, maybe I liked the kick drum from this one, but I liked everything else from the Steven Slate one. You can kind of go in between those. It gets a little bit more advanced and a little bit more time consuming. So if you're really trying to just quickly build something to, you know, program to write to, well, then you might just want to just quickly do something like this. And the same thing applies when it comes to tracking as well. You can just do a 2-track mix, and you can do all of the mixing inside of the software itself. And this one is more versatile than the Slate one in doing that. Or you can track each one simply by soloing it and committing up to this insert and doing that for each instrument that you're using in the drum kit. So I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about in regards to doing quick drum programming in order to kind of start building your song, especially if you're not a drummer. This is an easy and quick way to kind of get a groove going that might be what you're thinking about in your head. And then you can kind of go in and tweak some settings if you want. And it's great because it's already, the velocity is already done, which is a big thing. The pattern is already kind of in maybe the ballpark of what you're thinking about. And who knows, maybe the groove itself might lend itself to how you write your song. If you have any questions or comments, leave a comment below or send me an email, adam@adambarber.net. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. And thanks for watching, everyone.